Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today are 10 55 Chevy Bel Airs. I'm customizing all of these in a limited run of my first cars for sale. Never done this before. I cast the net out back in the summertime to see if there was any interest among my viewers of having an MLC custom, and there was a lot. Sorry it's taken me this long, but I also thought it would be a good way to end the year and season 3 here on my channel. I'm going to go off this prototype, which I did in the summer, although it's a 57 and I'm working on 55s today. But this is the one that garnered the initial interest and response. I'm going to change up a couple of things, but that's the look that we're going for. I'm doing 8 regular and 2 chase cars. So relax and enjoy a hot cup of coffee while I work through these in an assembly line style. Spoiler alert, if you're wondering about the thumbnail pick for this video, things didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted them to. But hang in with me and find out what happens. There are no surprises in the disassembly. These are all the regular parts of a mainline casting. This interior is going to get the most modifications in this limited run. It's a plastic base, standard wheels. They're coming off, and I'll certainly be doing an upgrade to real rubber Samed wheels. I want to make these very special because, as I said, it's the first time I've offered any of my customs for sale. I've given away almost every one of the first 195 of them. And I'll certainly continue to do that. This first run of cars for sale is kind of testing the waters to see how it goes. Not really my nature, but every little bit helps, as you know. The first custom touch is going to be removing all of the hoods with a jeweler's saw. So, fueled by coffee, I get ready to go because I want to do this all in one shot. It's a little bit tedious, as you can imagine. But also, you get better as you go. And I can tell you, it took 2.5 hours. I broke 2 saw blades and drank 2 cups of coffee. That's the full mileage report on this stage. And they look like this. So I'm going to have a special motor protruding through that opening. Here they are. I did quite a bit of 3D resin printing for this run. When necessary, I use my little hobby-sized disc sander to take off any rough edges, smooth them out, give me a nice flat surface, especially the surfaces that have to adhere to something else with some glue. After they're well cured, I decided it's faster to give them a shot of chrome spray than to do this by hand brushing one at a time. I made that same decision more than once, with everything needing to be done in batches of 10. These are some 1 centimeter tall NOS bottles, also 3D resin printed. As a matter of fact, I think I printed 96 of these, filled the whole build plate. In this case, I decided to hand paint them. This Carib Blue is Vallejo acrylic paint, the closest I have to the actual real NOS bottles. In fact, it's just about dead on. And I've got 10 racing seats, and I'm spraying initially in red, but those are later going to be hand painted in 3 colors. And I hope nobody says there are any details lacking when I'm all done this job. Well, we're almost at the end of the year, but there's still enough time for a couple more videos. I'm doing a year in review special on Christmas Eve. And on New Year's Eve, the last day of the month, the last day of the year, is the final 4 horsemen build for 2022. I hope you'll be dialed in for both of those. Back to the assembly line, I figured it would be most expeditious to do the paint stripping all at once, so in they go to a little larger container than normal. In goes the stripper, and on goes the lid. For a little bit of swishing around. I'll leave those in there to marinate for as long as necessary, which is not too long. Now check this out. It's not the first time that I took note in this process that all castings are not made equally. One of them was a bit more stubborn than the rest, but eventually all came off. I cleaned up the bodies, degreased and washed everything, and primed them, and now the 8 regular cars are getting a Createx pearl white coat of paint, which I think is quite striking. I'm very fond of this, and I've used it a couple of times now with great results. With all 10 cars lined up now, you can spot the 2 chase cars with a reverse color scheme. And I'm applying the decals, as I said, very much like the prototype car that I did last summer. The channel is called Maple Leaf Customs, and these are falling leaves along both sides of the car. I apply them in 3 pieces, which minimizes the wrinkling or the creasing. It makes it a little bit easier for me, and you can't notice any seams because of the pattern of the leaves. I think it looks pretty cool, and it's really different than what you normally see on the side of a car. The reverse color order for the 2 chase cars, just as striking in their contrast as the other way. Smooth them out with a Q-tip, make sure all the air bubbles are gone, and they're looking good. I did encounter some troubles here doing the same kind of thing on the roof because there's a curvature which created an air bubble challenge. So I called an audible, took those off, and painted the cars in solid roof colors, kind of classic color combinations. Now they're numbered, and that's an autograph from the artist that goes on the top, like a NASCAR has the driver's name right there over the doors. So far, so good. And that's the accumulated work of a couple of weeks, doing a bit here and a bit there. Now I turn my attention to the most time-intensive part of the whole process, and that is the customized interiors. I cut out some new flooring for each one because I'm going to take the original interiors like this and cut away the family sedan bench seats and create my own racing interiors with the parts that I've shown you already. And it's going to look kind of like this. I'm adding a drive shaft from a piece of styrene rod in the middle of each one. Swapped out the steering wheels, as you can see, and I've taken a Coca-Cola can and a punch, and that's going to fit over the drive shaft and curl around where the back seat was, just to give it a more of a race car interior look than a passenger bench. And along the top, you can see I've got everything primed up now and ready for some hand painting details. All of the NOS bottles got labeled. There's my 3-color racing seats as announced earlier, and a little straight pin as a stick shift in each one of these. I've added roll cages and painted everything up, and that took most of a week, working on and off for an hour here and 2 hours there. I have been very careful to do lots of dry fits all along the way. Here I'm making sure that the glass clears the roll cage, and it does. If it didn't, I would have adjusted that to make it just right. What else can I do? Well, I printed up a little dashboard decal with some instrument panel dials and a Bel Air logo over where the glove box might be. And I'm thinking, is there anything else I can do? Sure. What about that big bear spot? I'll put a Chevy bow tie on each one of these. And I'm liking all the detail that's gone into this so far. Final exterior detail includes some chrome highlights on the headlights, The taillights were done in chrome and then done over in Tamiya clear red. The final part of the puzzle is to permanently affix the glass to the casting, which normally is held in place by the interior, but I want the recipients to be able to take this apart in two main pieces and view the interior that I worked so hard on. So I use a Bondic resin pen to affix this, and that doesn't fog up the glass like super glue does. I just have to apply a UV light for 10 seconds or so to cure that, and that's not going anywhere. Okay, everything is lined up for final assembly. Couple coats of clear on all of these, so I got a beautiful glistening shine. Lots of detail. There's a Bel Air badge on the back and my Swiss tuned logo on the trunk. Samed wheels, 10 in the front, 12s in the back, and I fit the main pieces together, and what? Oh no, it's fitting okay, it's not fitting perfectly. There's about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe a 32nd of an inch gap at the back that won't close flush, and that won't do. Could I fix that? Sure I could. Could I do it overnight in time for this video release? Nuh-uh. I took a lunch break, I went out for a snowy walk, I came back into the hobby room and I disassembled all 10 of these. Some heartache, not a lot. They weren't all consistently up to my standards, and certainly not for a for sale level of excellence. Thankfully, there were no pre-orders, so nobody can get disappointed. I'm going to start over with 10 of these Triassic 5 gassers, with more knowledge and awareness of some of the pitfalls of doing a batch like this all at a time. 10 customs will be coming soon, as promised, just not these ones. I want to post an honest video for you with no smoke and mirrors or video trickery, and this one just goes to show that we can all fail. Thomas Edison once said, "I discovered 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb. I'm resilient, and no 98-cent car is going to get me down. Not even 10 of them." Thanks anyways for visiting my channel today. Now there might be even more anticipation for round 2 of the Battle of the Bel Airs. I hope you'll come back soon, and often. It's coffee time.